Most people live in distraction. They wake up scrolling, chasing comfort, obeying routines designed by others. They believe discipline is punishment. They believe reality is fixed. They believe their mind belongs to the world. But what if I told you, the only way to rise beyond average is to weaponize your discipline, sharpen your mind, and bend reality itself to your will? Today, we're solving a problem, the problem of weakness, the problem of drifting, the problem of living a life designed by others instead of your own vision. These are the darkest power lessons of Steve Jobs. Lessons not of kindness and comfort, but of fire, control, and unshakable will. Discipline. Most people think it's about rules, about schedules, about doing what you're told. But that's not discipline. That's obedience. And obedience is the opposite of creation. Real discipline is something darker, something sharper. It is the willingness to hold your vision when the world tries to distract you. It is the ability to push forward when comfort whispers in your ear, when rest tempts you, when people around you settle for mediocrity. The reason most people never build anything great is not because they're not smart. It's because they're not disciplined beyond comfort. They give in to the smallest temptations. They trade their future for a quick escape. They have ambition, yes, but ambition without discipline is only daydreaming. I learned very early that discipline isn't about forcing yourself to work. It's about becoming obsessed with something so deeply that discipline stops feeling like a chore. Discipline becomes the oxygen of your vision. And yet, there's a cost to that. When you are consumed by the discipline of building something great, the world calls you difficult. People think you're cold. They think you're demanding. But what they don't understand is that without discipline, without that relentless refusal to compromise, nothing extraordinary ever comes into existence. Every innovation you've ever seen, the iPhone, the Macintosh, the iPod, was not born in moments of inspiration alone. It was forged in discipline. It came from thousands of hours of saying no to distractions, no to comfort, no to the easy way out. It came from rejecting almost everything so we could say yes to the one thing that mattered. And here's the part people don't want to hear: discipline doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel inspiring when you're in it. It feels lonely. It feels heavy. You wake up and you don't want to do the work, but discipline doesn't care about your feelings. Discipline demands you show up anyway. And that's why it's powerful. Because discipline cuts through the weakness of emotion, through the excuses your mind creates, through the softness the world tries to feed you. Most people quit because they confuse comfort with happiness. They think the couch, the entertainment, the distraction is happiness. But comfort kills greatness. Comfort kills vision. Comfort is the silent enemy of creation. And if you are not disciplined enough to go beyond it, you will always live in someone else's dream instead of building your own. When I was building Apple, there were days when we had no certainty, no guarantee of success. There were nights when the team wanted to give up, when failure looked inevitable. And yet, discipline demanded we keep moving. Not because it felt good, but because the vision required it. The difference between those who succeed and those who vanish is not talent, not luck, but the discipline to keep going when nothing in the world encourages you to. Discipline beyond comfort means you don't stop when you're tired. You stop when the work is done. It means you don't accept good enough. You hold yourself and everyone around you to a higher standard, even when it makes you the villain. That was my curse and my gift. People called me harsh. People called me obsessed. But what they didn't see was that comfort is the enemy of destiny, and discipline is the gatekeeper to reality. The truth is, greatness is not born in moments of excitement. Greatness is born in silence, in repetition, in the daily grind that no one applauds. It's born in the thousand small choices, where you choose discipline over comfort again and again, until the world finally sees what you've built. Discipline is not about following rules. Discipline is about bending yourself into the kind of person who cannot quit, who cannot compromise, who cannot stop until the vision is real. That's the discipline beyond comfort. The mind, most people never use it as more than a storage unit. They fill it with noise, distractions, entertainment, and opinions of others. They treat the mind like a passive receiver, a vessel waiting to be filled. But the truth is different. The mind is not a container. The mind is a weapon. When sharpened, the mind can slice through confusion, through doubt, through the illusions that society builds around you. But when left dull, the mind becomes a prisoner of the world, enslaved by every distraction, every opinion, every shiny temptation that pulls you away from your path. I learned this the hard way. I wasn't the smartest engineer in the room. I wasn't the most skilled programmer. But I trained my mind to focus, to cut through noise, to see patterns where others saw randomness. That focus became my weapon. When the world said something was impossible, the mind refused to accept it. When others settled, the mind demanded more. When people thought only in straight lines, the mind bent reality into curves. Most people are too weak to use their minds this way. They allow emotions, distractions, and the endless noise of the world to blunt their edge. They scroll, they consume, they drown their consciousness in junk. They want their minds to feel comfortable, but a comfortable mind is a weak mind. A weak mind cannot build. A weak mind cannot create. A weak mind obeys. To weaponize the mind, you must train it in discipline. Silence is one form of training. Focus is another. You learn to shut out the noise, to ignore the endless chatter of the world, and to lock onto the one problem, the one solution, the one truth that matters. That kind of focus is not normal. That kind of focus feels almost unnatural, almost ruthless. But it is the only way to cut through mediocrity. Think about it. Every invention, every leap forward in history, was born from a mind that refused to scatter. A mind that became so sharp, so focused, so unrelenting, it bent the world around it. That's how revolutions are built. Not from comfort, not from scattered thoughts, but from a mind turned into a blade. And there is a darkness in this. Because once you realize the mind can be sharpened, you cannot tolerate weakness in yourself. You see the distractions of the world for what they are, traps designed to blunt your edge. You see the comfort of conformity as poison. You start cutting everything that doesn't serve the vision. Friends, hobbies, distractions, even parts of yourself. That is the cost of using the mind as a weapon. You become selective, ruthless, and unwilling to bend for anything except the mission. When I looked at a product, I didn't just see what it was. I saw what it could be. That's the power of a sharpened mind. It refuses to accept what is handed to it. It demands more. It demands clarity. It demands elegance. And if the mind is not trained, it will accept things as they are. It will bow to mediocrity. It will be satisfied with good enough. But when your mind becomes a weapon, good enough becomes your enemy. Impossible becomes a challenge. And distractions become invisible because your blade is too sharp to be caught in them. The world begins to call this arrogance. They call it obsession. They call it madness. But the truth is, it is power. Because when the mind is sharpened beyond the normal, it can slice through reality itself and carve something new into existence. Your mind is either a tool for someone else's agenda, or it is your weapon to forge your own. If you do not train it, someone else will. If you do not sharpen it, the world will dull it. That's the choice. The weapon is in your hands. Reality. Most people accept it as it is. They look at the world, they see its limitations and they obey them. They see walls and they stop. They see rules and they follow. They see the way things are, and they surrender. But reality is not fixed. Reality is negotiable. And one of the darkest powers you can ever master is the ability to distort reality itself. People called it my reality distortion field. They said it was manipulation. They said it was delusion. They said it was dangerous. But here's the truth: every great creation, every revolution, every leap forward began with someone who refused to accept reality as it was. Because the moment you accept reality as permanent, you surrender your power to change it. The reality distortion power is not about lying. It is about a vision so strong, so unwavering, that the current version of reality begins to bend under its weight. It is the ability to make people see not what is in front of them, but what could be. To make them believe in the impossible until it becomes inevitable. When we built the first Macintosh, the engineers told me what couldn't be done. The limits of hardware, the limits of time, the limits of possibility. And every time they told me it was impossible, I pushed back. I refused to accept the limits they placed on reality. I told them it could be done. I demanded it be done. And against their own belief, against the so-called rules of physics and time, they made it happen. That is reality distortion power. It is taking what people call impossible and forcing it into existence by sheer will. But there is a darkness in it, because once you master this power, you no longer live in the same reality as everyone else. You become untethered. You begin to demand of others what they don't believe they can give. You stretch people beyond their limits, sometimes to the breaking point, and they hate you for it even as they thank you later. That's the paradox of bending reality. The world will call you arrogant for not accepting its boundaries. They will call you delusional for rejecting their rules. But the truth is, reality is created by people no smarter than you. Every system, every device, every so-called law of business was created by someone who decided their version of reality should dominate. And if you do not create your own, you are condemned to live in someone else's. The power of reality distortion is not just in convincing others. It is in convincing yourself. It is in holding a vision so vividly in your mind that you stop seeing the current world as final. You start seeing it as clay, something to be reshaped. When people tell you, that's just the way it is, your mind responds, no, that's the way it has been. But it's not the way it has to be. And make no mistake, this power is dangerous. Because when you bend reality, you risk breaking it. You risk breaking people. You risk breaking yourself. But every breakthrough comes with risk. Every revolution carries destruction in its wake. You cannot create a new reality without shattering the old one. Look at the iPhone. The world said the keyboard was essential. The world said people would never adapt to touchscreens. The world said we were insane. And yet, by refusing to accept their reality, by bending it into ours, we redefined an entire industry. People didn't know they wanted it until it was in their hands. That is reality distortion power at its peak. Not giving people what they ask for, but what they will one day realize they cannot live without. Reality only belongs to those strong enough to bend it. If you cannot distort reality, you are trapped by it. And if you can, you will pay a price for it. But in that distortion lies creation. In that distortion lies power, greatness. Everyone admires it. Everyone says they want it. They glorify the success, the wealth, the recognition, the legacy. But almost no one talks about the price. And the price of greatness is darker, heavier, more ruthless than most people are willing to pay. People imagine greatness as a gift, something bestowed on the chosen few. They think it's talent, luck, or destiny. But the truth is that greatness is purchased. Purchased with sacrifice. Purchased with pain. Purchased with everything you are willing to give up to bring your vision into reality. I learned this early. when Apple was nothing more than a dream in a garage. To build something that would change the world, I had to give up stability. I had to give up comfort. I had to give up being understood. My friends didn't always understand me. My family didn't always understand me. But greatness does not come wrapped in approval. It comes wrapped in isolation. The world does not reward vision at the beginning. At the beginning, the world ridicules it. They laugh. They doubt. They tell you you're insane. They tell you you're wasting your time. And when you refuse to listen, when you push past the noise, they don't admire your discipline. They resent it. They resent the fact that you're willing to sacrifice what they cling to. They resent the fact that your standards expose their mediocrity. And so, the path to greatness is often a lonely one, but loneliness is only one cost. The greater cost is the weight of obsession, because greatness is not built in balance. It's a built-in obsession. When the vision consumes you, there is little room for anything else. Relationships fracture. Friendships fade. Nights blur into mornings. The people around you begin to feel abandoned, even if you believe you are building for them. That's the paradox. You sacrifice the present for a future no one else can see. And when that future arrives, you're often left looking at the ashes of what you burned to reach it. And yet, you can't stop, because greatness is not optional. It becomes a demand within you, louder than comfort, louder than relationships, louder than love itself. That is why it feels like a curse as much as a gift. You carry the burden of vision, and the price is everything that competes with it. Most people want greatness without sacrifice. They want recognition without rejection. They want innovation without isolation. But the truth is, every great creator, every revolutionary, every person who changed the world paid a price most would consider unbearable. Edison paid with ridicule. Picasso paid with madness. I paid with broken relationships, sleepless nights, and the reputation of being impossible to work with. That was the toll. That was the tax. And the most painful part, the price never ends, because the moment you achieve one summit, the vision shows you another. The hunger is never satisfied. The discipline never relaxes. The mind never sleeps. The reality you distort into existence only opens the door to another reality waiting to be bent. The cost of greatness is eternal. It does not allow you rest. It does not allow you peace. It demands more, always more. The truth is, if you want greatness, you must be prepared to bleed for it. Not once, not for a season, but continuously. You must be willing to walk away from comfort, from approval, from certainty. You must accept that people will not understand you, that they may even despise you, and you must keep going anyway. Because greatness is not given. Greatness is not free. Greatness takes everything you have and then asks for more. Discipline, the mind, reality, the price. These are not theories. These are not lessons from books. These are weapons. Weapons forged in fire, sharpened through obsession, paid for in blood and sacrifice. Most people will never touch them. They will live soft lives, chasing distractions, obeying rules, and surrendering to the comfort that slowly kills them. They will call it safety. They will call it balance. They will call it happiness. But the truth is, they will never know what it means to bend the world to their will. The few who dare, the few who are willing to discipline themselves beyond comfort, to sharpen their minds into weapons, to distort reality itself, to pay the endless price of greatness. Those are the ones who leave a mark so deep the world cannot erase it. But make no mistake, this is not a path of light. It is a path of fire. It will burn your illusions. It will burn your comfort. It will burn pieces of your soul. And yet, if you are willing to endure that fire, if you are willing to carry that burden, then you will hold the darkest power of all.